Today's video is about the nature of reality, and I don't even mention the word loved ones. Okay, we're here outside NatWest, the Market Street. There's a few police hovering around, and I think some climate activists have come in and occupied... I'll be leaving in a second, I just want to capture this. Climate activists have occupied the bank, is that the right story here?
That is true.
Trying up a conversation, you'll be the one who cannot talk. And all you insides for the pieces, you'll just sit there and wish you could make love. And they're the ones who hate you and you think you got the world all sussed out. And they're the ones spit at you, you'll be the one screaming out. And don't leave me high, don't leave me dry, don't leave me high, don't leave me dry. Oh, it's the best thing that you've ever had, the best thing that you've ever had. Oh, it's the best thing that you've ever had, the best thing that you've had is gone away.
Hi everyone, Charlie Veach here, Central Manchester. Today is December the 13th, 2018. 12 days until Christmas. I don't know if you can read what that says on the brass plaque, but this is a Royal Mail postbox. And this was the last man standing. Literally, the last little thing that stood after the 1996 IRA, Irish Republican Army bomb. That was a massive van bomb, truck bomb in central Manchester in the 90s. And it was the biggest bomb that ever exploded in Britain during peacetime. Now that's saying something, but what I think is fascinating about the bomb, and I'm going to tie it into the Yellow Vest protests in France. Hear me out. I know you think it's a tenuous link, but the Irish Republican Army bomb that blew up this whole area here, like Market Street, Corporation Street, the Arndale, this is all new. This is all new buildings. It didn't kill anyone. And like in this era of like mass terrorism, the aim is to kill as many people as possible, but the IRA bomb didn't kill a single person. And it helped the IRA in their aims. And I'm not going to get into the ins and outs of who was right and who was wrong. All I'm talking about is effective tactics. If you want to lose the hearts and minds of the public, you start killing people. If you want to actually get concessions, you hurt the pocket of your enemy or the people that you want to get concessions from. Now, in France, the Yellow Vest protesters, obviously it appears very violent, they're destroying property, but they're not killing people. Their aim isn't to kill anyone, it's to cause chaos on the streets of Paris, and that has cost the French government billions and billions of euros. That's a lot of money, and Macron has now given in. He's conceded to the Yellow Vests and all their desires. And I think there's a big lesson here, you know, like the Islamists get it very wrong. They start killing. There was one yesterday in Strasbourg. It's like an everyday Christmas market shooting. And that's how you turn people against your cause. But if you want to be effective, you have to be non-violent. You have to attack the infrastructure, the thing which makes money, the thing which turns us all into consumerist rats. And that's effective. Anyway, today is my... I'll let these noisy trams. Today is my dad's birthday. My old man has hit 75 years old, 3/4 of a century. And they're going out for a lovely dinner over in Scotland, my parents, who are still together having a nice time. Now, my mum and dad, like, I'm so grateful to them, and I tell them so often how grateful I am for what they did for me and my siblings growing up. And they're like, oh, don't be stupid, it was our obligation, we were always going to love you. And that is lovely, and I hope to give that to my children for the rest of their lives. But the main reason I got my camera out today, not just to wish my dad a happy birthday, but there's a very good phrase recently, like, I heard, and 10 points for anyone who can tell me who said this. He said, speaking the truth can actually dismantle pathological hierarchies. And that was very interesting. Like, speaking the truth can dismantle pathological hierarchies. And like, here's the thing, like, how much truth is anyone able to speak in this corrupted world? And I'm as corrupted as anyone else. I'm as pathetic as anyone else. I'm as mortal and falling apart as anyone else. But just because I'm pathetic and falling apart doesn't mean that I can't sometimes speak the truth. Now, it's almost very hard to know where to start with this kind of speaking. But if we try and talk about the very biggest picture of all, as in the constitution of reality itself, I think a big mistake a lot of people make is they try and like separate spirituality from science, and science obviously is a method. It's a method at arriving at a particular type of truth. But there is a truth that science cannot decipher, and that is meaning. That is the very nature of existence. Because if you approach the Big Bang, you know, the scientists generally agree, and I would tend to agree, the Big Bang is a physical representation of some sort of creation. And science does not work when you get close to the Big Bang. I don't know how close, very close, very close. But science is gobbledygook, because, let me try and say my first bit of truth here. The Big Bang and all of creation isn't something that happened 13.7 billion years ago. The Big Bang and creation is something which is happening live right now. And you're at the very end of it. You're the kind of the outpost. You're the kind of like little light at the end of the fiber optic cable coming from the Big Bang, and it's happening right now. Now obviously that sounds like, whoa, how much acid have you taken? No, but hear me out, hear me out. Like, Newtonian physics works across large-scale objects, you know, the planets, the sun, stars. Newtonian physics, even with a ball, you throw a ball, it follows Newtonian physics. But that completely breaks down on the tiny quantum level. Newtonian law doesn't work. And time, of course time exists in our local thing, you know, here I'm wearing a watch, you know. Time exists. I mean, it'd be stupid to say that something which happened this morning is still happening now, because it's not. I was having breakfast this morning, I'm not having breakfast now. But when you look at the macro scale, the very big scale, time is nothing but a measure of distance. How far can light travel in a year? That is basically time. And you approach the speed of light, you will age less than people who are not there. So it's all very, very strange. Light and time and distance are all very tied. So the Big Bang is happening right now. And let me try and explain to you what I think it is. Let me get away from the noisy. Let me get away from the noisiness here. There is a conceptual anomaly, I guess, an absurdity. You know, the French existentialists, especially Camus, Sartre, talked about absurdism. In fact, he won the Nobel Prize for writing a book called The Rebel, which touches upon the absurd. I think in 1952 he won the Nobel Prize for Literature, Albert Camus. But there's an absurdity at the heart of manifest reality, in that reality cannot exist without a concurrent sentience to actually appreciate the fact that there's a reality existing. Now, let's try and dismantle that and say it again. There's a conceptual aberration in that reality cannot exist unless there is a corresponding sentience that comes with it to actually see it, because reality would be meaningless, i.e. information would be meaningless. It couldn't exist unless there was actually a perceiver there to experience it. Now, the Big Bang and the inability of science to actually study the Big Bang is literally that. You are staring into the source of everything that is continually happening, and it's happening right now. Anyway, just as a quick break, that's the hotel. Where's my finger? That there behind me, behind that yellow and red sign, that's a hotel that a bunch of homeless people were living in. There's some rich footballers. I don't know anything about football, but they let them live there for a while, but they're not living there now. But this is central Manchester. It's all old buildings being redone up. Look at this old, sweaty, old, nasty building, and that one as well. So let's get back to what we were trying to say. The manifest arrival of reality can only happen if there's a person or a sentience. It doesn't need to be a person, a sentience, a corresponding sentience to feel it. And then it starts begging the question, and what is the point of all this madness and suffering and meaning and so forth? And I think it's literally that. The universe, as in the totality of be all and end all, the alpha all the way to the omega, is literally trying to understand meaning. And then when you look at the world around you with all the problems and the fact that we grow old, we have, you know, health problems, and we have children, which is probably the greatest thing you can possibly do, the greatest adventure. It's all a metaphor for everything else. Like, how would you do it? How would you manifest reality if it wasn't with these, you know, Fibonacci sequence, golden ratio beings with 5 again? 5, Venus, the star is the golden ratio in 2 dimensions spreading out. How would you do it? Like, what would the beings look like? Would we be blue-skinned like an avatar, or would we be like this? And when you start to expand your mind to think about things like this, and I don't even mind if this video gets loads of dislikes, I just want to speak the truth. You know, where was I? The very fact that, you know, there's so many people. In fact, yeah, this is a kind of a new tangent here. Part of my channel, I've always wanted to just be honest and to leave videos up, you know, where I make mistakes. And now, of course, I've removed 1 or 2 videos from my collection because people write to me and they say, oh, I'm feature heavily in one of your videos, can you, and then, you know, depends on the case-by-case basis. But to be an anti-guru, perhaps, to not want anything from you, to not even mind if you switch off the video and just disappear and never watch this again. But remember that the beauty, the glory, the magnificence of reality, you don't need to like move to Tibet for 7 years. You don't need to go to India and join some ashram, Bikram yoga retreat and pay tribute to a guru. All you need to do is literally have a look at the world around you again and realize that we're all being played. We're being played very hard. And we're not being played by some evil, monstrous, you know, system. We're being played by ourselves because the truth is so absurdly horrifying in its beauty that we avoid it. And also, we have a system at the moment, you know, free market capitalism, and most people are, you know, through no fault of their own, followers. And so we're all manipulated to think that money, 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 property and investments is the be-all and end-all. And of course that helps the system, it doesn't help your individual people, and we're starting to see the cracks appearing around the world. The globalist program is failing. Macron, as one of the strangest globalists, with the phrase, he said, nationalism is a betrayal of patriotism. Now that's straight out of George Orwell's 1984, and people are starting to wake up that the efficient movement of goods and services and the profits maximization of corporations isn't the purpose of existence. We are not connected to the source of the universe, i.e. God, to worry about pensions, to worry about this and that, and the yellow jackets in France. And it's going to spread. It's going to go to America and the UK. It's going to go all over the world. And, you know, if I can just tell you one thing, it's stay calm. Understand that you are magnificent. You are very special. And there's no one that can ever take that away from you. And, like, don't be scared of dying. My guess would be that, you know, the death process is the birth process. That would be a guess. I mean, I can't imagine an experience of there not being a person there, i.e. you. And the people in the past have said this a lot better than I have, namely Alan Watts. He is, you know, not Alan Watts, the 1960s, 1970s Zen Buddhist speaker. And he's fascinating because he comes from a Christian chaplaincy background. I think he was a priest or he was a chaplain or something to do heavily with Christianity. And he went to the Far East and he learnt a very brutal truth. And Zen Buddhism, what I like about it is there's an element of jokiness in the heart of it, because the truth is right there. Right there. You are living the truth right now. The fact that most people don't grasp what may be true is another element of the truth. It's the truth not wanting to see the truth for the purposes of existence. And it's fascinating. And it's what keeps me up at night. It's what I think about. Now, I hope to put at the start of this video an amazing musician, very unique. And we'll try and end it with the full clip of him as well. But really, all of creation is happening right now. It's not 13.7 billion years ago, it's literally right now. And the distance between the Big Bang and your soul is smaller than you think. Now, whether you're a Hindu and you believe in loads of gods, whether you're a Christian, a Jew, or a Muslim and you believe in the Abrahamic personal, as I was saying, whether you believe in a personal god, a Hindu gods, your own god, the ancient pantheon of Greek or Roman gods, ultimately we're all trying to contemplate an infinite glory. And, you know, to say religion's not true, it's kind of missing the point. To say that science is true, it's kind of missing the point. It's all aiming towards the same thing. Knowledge of the self. What is the self? And I'll tell you what the self is. The self is the Big Bang.
One step closer to find my love. Oh, what's going on? I don't know. Can't feel anymore. 2 steps back, it's like when we retract from all the facts and let it go. Too cold to feel. If we could just rewind, I'd tell you everything. If I could turn back time, just for the hell of it. If I could make you mine for a moment, I swear that I'll meet you there. Thank you. You and me, baby, can't you see? I just want you and your everything. You and your everything. Oh, step back when we retract all of the facts and let it go. Too cold to feel. If we could just rewind, I'd tell you everything. If I could turn back time, just for the hell of it. If I could make you mine for a moment, I swear, oh, I swear